Commercial's good as far as my understanding is. My niche is actually in the mineral rights sector of the real estate game. I am a part of the EXP commercial, but I primarily, from a commercial and residential standpoint, I primarily am on a referral basis from that point. I have those deals cross my desk all the time. I put on a lot of networking events here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But I also travel the country to pitch to family offices and other investors for mineral rights. But also, you know,
What do you mean by mineral
recommend.
rights?
Say that again.
What do you mean by mineral rights?
So mineral rights are actually deeded real estate, just like commercial and residential. A lot of people don't know that. Technically, air rights are as well, but that's not my wheelhouse.
Wow.
Yeah, so properties are primarily in West Texas, southeastern New Mexico, in an area that underground that's referred to as the Permian Basin. It's the highest producing oil basin on planet Earth. So it's
You
not
look
the
at the
largest,
oil.
but it's the highest producing. So essentially, it's kind of like being a landlord and tenant relationship. It's not a perfect analogy, but it's so essentially instead of getting monthly rent checks, you get monthly royalty checks from like Exxon or Chevron.
Gotcha.
Um,
I
yeah,
watched a
but
movie on that not long ago, and it was pretty interesting.
oh
Done
yeah.
it. I forget what the name of it was, but it was very interesting, and the big money that's involved in it.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Yeah, people a common question I get about it is like, well, so am I buying the whole property? I'm like, there are only a handful of individuals on the planet that could buy a whole property. The only whole properties that are owned by a single entity are US government or state government, federal or Native American Indian tribes.
is that right?
Those
So
are the
the average American citizen cannot do that.
no, like we had a property individual about $500,000 worth of it, and he owned of the pooled acreage. He owns 0.01% of the property.
Wow.
Excuse me, zero point zero 0.01. Yeah, 0.01% of the
Wow.
property. So it's like that's how large. Anyway, I think we've got a few people trickling in. I'll give everybody another 30 to 45
Cool.
seconds. Eric is double booked today. He asked me to host, so we'll give
Oh,
everybody
oh,
about
awesome.
a minute. Yeah, give everyone a minute to hop on. Hey there, Mercedes. How are you? Hey, Rich.
Hi.
Got a lot of note takers in here, so that's fine. We'll let them do their thing.
Note taker. I like that.
Yeah.
You're going to go to the EXP Con in Utah,
Yeah, I
Salt
plan
Lake?
on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
I intend on being there.
Should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I've
I'll
been to
be
the
in.
last few of them, Miami, I've been to a couple times,
Mhm.
Barcelona. Yeah, it's great to meet the people face to face.
There's a lot of value there. I agree with you
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Um, the remote thing is a convenience, but I don't. My personal opinion is it cannot replace the in-person connective connections, if you will. Some people disagree with me, and that's fine, but I don't think that's the case. All right, I'm going to share my screen, guys. What I'm going to be going kind of topic is we'll go around the horn, but the topic, most commercial folks know that LinkedIn's kind of the bread and butter, right? From a social media perspective. It's different for residential. Residential, a lot of people have success on Instagram and TikTok and things like that. But for the larger ticket commercial transactions, most from a social media perspective, Instagram has its place. So does, I'm sure TikTok does to a certain extent, but LinkedIn is primarily where that action is. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So, before I dive into it, Rich or Mercedes, I think and Nick, I think we're the only four on this morning, at least so far. Is there a particular, opportunity or property that you want to float out here for the recording or for the people on the call before we do a little bit of a LinkedIn deep dive?
No, nothing on my.
I just phone call this morning. A guy that
Mhm.
I know in the Boston area owns a Greek restaurant, and he just hit me out of the blue. He goes, "Yeah, my health, blah blah blah, and I'm probably sell the business." So I don't owns the property. He just owns the business. It's been there for like 20 years. I don't know what he makes yet. I'm gonna have a conversation with him around 3 o'clock today to go over that with him. I work with I'm not a commercial agent yet, but I want to be because my father was for many, many years, and he gave his book of business to my uncle, who I'm dealing with now, who's I'm trying to get to EXP too, but he's like kind of like yeah, he's like, I'm too old. I go, you're not too old. We're working different deals together, so it's something I get into. It's something, that's why I'm on this call because I think that's calling, you know.
No, I
House
love
is
that. Well,
fine.
that
House
actually
is
leads me
fine,
to
but it's
another.
like, go ahead.
No, you're fine, Nick. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, no. House, but I think it's time to graduate,
I hear that. Well, you're actually in Rich. You might be thinking the same thing. Depending on how your conversation at 3 o'clock Nick, goes, Nick, could be something for Rich's deal exchange call. Depending on how that looks, I don't know if you're familiar with that, Rich. If you want to do a plug for your
Sure.
online event.
Well, thank you, of course, Tommy, and thanks for Eric. Yeah, so I do this twice a month, the first and third Tuesdays of every month. If you're a school guy, and Nick, what we used to do back in the day when you and I were young pups, we used to have Monday morning sales meetings, right? And the brokers would present their listings, and it was a requirement if you were a rookie, but usually all the senior guys would show up to that Monday morning sales meeting. So and you find out exactly what's going on, who's got what listings, all asset classes, et cetera. Those are back in my Marcus and chat days. So what we've done by extension now here, obviously we have this great technology that we're all on right now called Zoom. We actually have it nationwide where we do a Zoom call on 8:30 a.m. In fact, tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Mercedes, I'm hoping to get you lined up. I don't know if I've gotten confirmation yet on your deals, but I really hope you can be able to present. But it gives everybody an opportunity to present their deals for 2 to 3 minutes and just tell us why it's a deal. And hopefully, who are on the call may have a prospective buyer for that particular asset. When I was a COO at Sperry, we did this every single week and had a great deal of success with it. Again, it was nationwide. So, we had brokers from all over the country, all the different asset classes. It's great too, Nick, especially for someone who maybe doesn't have the experience to just come in and spend the minutes, because that's all I do. I do 30 minutes, that's it. One thing I've come to learn over the years is that brokers have the attention span of a gnat. So you can't go 30 minutes before they start losing interest. But it's a great way to learn and see the different styles because every broker has their own way of presenting. When it comes to underwriting, the numbers are the numbers. Yeah, sometimes they can be fudged a little bit, but by and large, the numbers are the numbers. But it's the way you present the deal that is ultimately how is going to be the success or failure of whether or not you get that deal sold. So it's a great opportunity. By all means, Nick, reach out to me. I'll put my information out on there. But Mercedes is aware of it. I think she's been on the call. Tommy, of course, was a guest star a while back. We're going to get Tommy back on again because I know what Tommy does, and it's an absolutely phenomenal opportunity and option for a Turn 31 exchange buyer. So we just try to get that. In fact, tomorrow we're going to have Cesar Cepeda is going to speak on a loan program that he has with an interest rate of 1.5%. It's incredible,
Wow.
especially because rates have been so stubbornly high. So these are the kinds of things we try to do to educate and also to get your listing exposed. It's an on or off market deal, so I highly recommend it. And Mercedes, you've been on the call, so and again, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tommy, thank you.
Of course, of course. Good. I had to ask you to do that just because it sounds like potentially what Nick is talking about could be a cool opportunity to float on your show.
Yeah, business
Um,
brokerage is huge. And if you've ever heard Earl Kemperer talking, he's our guru on business brokerage. And if you don't know him, Nick, you really need to introduce yourself, get to know Nick. But or rather, he is unbelievable. He's such a smart guy, been doing it for 1,000 years and knows everything there is to know about business brokerage. And it's obviously a wide area because every business is different. But it's a huge part of commercial real estate. And it's not my specialty. It's not my expertise. That's why I defer to a guy like Earl who does have it as his expertise.
Perfect. Perfect. Looks like we're already connected, Nick. Look at that.
Wow. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. And then Mercedes, let's see here. Mercedes.
I sent you a request.
Oh, perfect. Accepted. There we go. I love it. So, from a social media perspective, I live on this particular platform. There are no right or wrong answers. Everybody has their own niche. I know I do. As Rich mentioned, I'm kind of in a niche subset of the real estate market myself in the sense of I'm in mineral rights. We got Robert Evans. Let me admit him. But by and large, like I was saying earlier, commercial real estate's primarily LinkedIn. There are always exceptions. I've actually closed business on the X or Twitter platform as well, but that's not That's not the norm, at least not for me personally. You might have a better preference or a better presence on your, platform of choice, if you will. One thing I want to ask the 4 or 5 of you is, if you're at your own little, if you have your own shop, have you created a company page on LinkedIn for yourself yet? Legitimate question.
I think I have in the
So
past.
perfect. I recommend it. Um, like for me, it's Key Real Estate Consulting. What I suggest is, if you haven't already, if you have a shop or a brand, even if it's just a brand, I would suggest creating a page. I can be happy to show you how to do that if you would like. But if you click on my Key Real Estate, or any page for that matter, you'll notice that these pages have their own followers. So Key Real Estate Consulting on LinkedIn has a little over 2,000 on their own. What I use this for, and what I get value out of it, is, let me admit Jeff Smith. When you make a post on your LinkedIn profile, you already get how that works. All your followers get, right? Or if you repost something, it's on your page. However, sometimes people don't want to follow every single post that you make because it's not always on one topic. They might only follow you because they like your commercial real estate offerings, or your business, your Greek restaurant business, or whatever the case is, or your residential listings. But if you have a company page, that does two things for you. Really does more. But the two primary things that I get value out of is, you have a narrower scope that you're able to tailor specifically on 1 or 2 pieces of subject matter that this particular page is supposed to promote. But what you can also do with a company page is reshare your personal posts. So now you have twice the exposure for people that follow your page, your profile, I should say, and your company page. Does that make sense? I can walk you through that if you would like.
Yeah.
Another thing, and a lot of people miss this on their people that create a LinkedIn page. It's not pronounced, right? If you look on the left-hand side here, you see the invite to follow button. If you create your own page, you get 250 invite credits a month. That's essentially, you can invite 250 people to follow that page. As you can see, I've burned through almost all of them. I saw I had one left. I left it intentionally to show you what the screen looks like on the screen share. But essentially, you pick and choose, just kind of like, it's very similar to when you're seeking new connections for your, but you can filter by, location, where they currently work. I never use the school option. It's not relevant to me, but you can do that. And the industry as well. So how about we do this? For my last invite of the month of June, select EXP commercial. It shows who's already following your page, who I've invited that hasn't accepted it, and a checkbox is there for people I haven't invited yet. So I will invite Julie Dew just to show how it works. And then you click invite. It's really that simple. So now, whenever I go to my personal by the way, you can only invite people to follow your company pages if they're already a connection of your personal profile. So only connections that you're connected to can be invited to the pages that you create. And I say that you create, that's a low in scope. You can actually invite people to follow other people's pages too. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I click on EXP commercials page, clearly I didn't create this, right? You can see EXP commercials LinkedIn page has 24,000 followers. Now it's a little bit of a different interface here because it's not my page. But if I click on this ellipsis here, the ... and pull down, let's see. Well, I say that they might have moved it. Bear with me. Oh, the invite's right next to it on this interface. So if I click invite, you get 30 credits a month if you want people to follow somebody else's page. So if I went to, let's just do EXP commercial again. If I filter by EXP commercial, show results, you can see all the people that you are currently connected with that already follow EXP commercial. And now we see Shannon King. She has EXP commercial in her profile, as in that's what she works according to her LinkedIn profile, but she doesn't actually follow the EXP commercial page. You can invite her to do that. As you can see, the vast majority are already following the page. And I'll leave it at that. I'll go ahead and send her Shannon an invite, just since we already went through the effort. But that's a very tool in the sense of, on my personal page, if I put on networking events here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I made this post a little over a month ago, if it loads. There we go. So here, Might be, let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. So you see my profile picture here. If I click on this arrow, I can switch to react, comment, or repost as my entity page or my company page. So if I choose Key Real Estate Consulting, save. Now you see that icon change. That's an indicator for you to know who you're commenting as. So if I left a comment on my own post, it would say Key Real Estate Consulting says, or I've already done this on this post, but I can repost my personal post. So now I'm getting twice the exposure. Maybe not literally speaking, but my post is going to show up twice on people's feeds that both follow me and follow my company page. You have twice the likelihood of either engagement, awareness, or some form of interaction or conversation, depending on your subject matter. Does that make sense to everybody? Perfect. And then you can also, if you have more than one entity, obviously you can go crazy with it, right? But be mindful if you have multiple entities that keep it relevant, because you don't want to be the noise in people's feeds, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about, and this is an understatement of the year, but a lot of people are talking about AI tools and how they can help in whatever you can daydream or think of, right? Something that's on my back burner that I might tackle this week is revising my LinkedIn profile itself, right? This banner, some people say it's too noisy. Maybe you guys feel the same way. Maybe I'm wrestling with that myself. It's got a lot of logos. Is that necessary? What you can do, copy the image here. I have various AI tools you can see here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see me hovering over them, but you have your Chat GPT. Everybody knows that. Claude, most people are familiar with Claude these days. Let me skip this one for now. I'll come back to it. Grok, that's tied into the X platform. Candidly, I use it kind of like the new Google, but it has other capabilities, of course. And then there's this other tool called Manus. It's just another powerful competitor to both Claude and ChatGPT. They're all good at their own individual things. Some are better than others at specific tasks. What we could do, I'll use Manus since people are probably less familiar with it. By the way, I've used this tool, and this would be a whole separate call if you want. I've created my own CRM with this tool. I've created my own data room with this tool. In fact, this is what my CRM looks like, just as a teaser. I've got some data integrity cleanup to do because it's brand new, but it's a whole CRM that I manage end to end. It has integrations that the AI tool built for me. Same thing with this data room. I can create users, share deals, and I get application requests for people that want access to certain opportunities. Little teaser. I think Eric's going to have me do that here in a couple of weeks with you guys. But back to what I was talking about earlier, I'm going to create a new task. What I did was I just pasted my LinkedIn banner image right there, as you can see it. You can do things like this. You don't have to do this just for your LinkedIn profile. You can do it for any of your profiles, of course, or any image for that matter. But this is my current LinkedIn banner image. I want it refined to be targeted for, let's say, for those of you that don't know this acronym, ultra high net worth individuals, family offices, and institutional clients. You can get as descriptive as you want. I want it to look ultra premium let's just leave it at that. Let's see what it does. The dimensions of the image need to remain the exact same. Now, while that thinks, let me go back. Is everybody here familiar with Sales Navigator? It's a paid service, part of LinkedIn. That's this tab I just switched over to. This is kind of a hybrid between LinkedIn and a CRM. I don't use it exclusively as a CRM, but let me show you how it works, because a lot of you, especially whether you're commercial or in residential, this is a powerful tool. Now, is it worth the expense? I think it's about $50 a month. So keep that in mind. But what it does do is it lets you create a list of accounts and leads. Accounts are companies, simply put. So as you can see, I've got lists and lists I've created. Here's 1031 and title companies I put together many months ago. 1031 Corp, 1031 Specialist, Accruit. The list goes on. You've probably heard of some of these if you've ever done a 1031 exchange. What this does is it gives you insights on people that you can introduce you to at this company, what the likely hierarchy is from a management perspective, an ownership perspective. You can also create your own visuals. I personally don't use it because I don't have a lot of value in my niche, but you might find value in mapping out a particular organization. And then once you have that organization mapped out to your liking, you can preview profiles here on the right. You can open up their full LinkedIn page if you wish. What that also allows you to do in the Sales Navigator is you can message people that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. What I mean by that is you might not, you can only, generally speaking, there's permission levels. You can't message just anybody on LinkedIn. Usually you have to be connected if depending on their own privacy settings. This gives you a little bit of a leg up on non-paid LinkedIn users is really all I'm trying to communicate there. You get what's called in-mails, which is like a premium direct message, for lack of a better phrasing. So in short, it expands your reach. And it also makes people realize that you're more likely serious because, well, the unserious accounts are going to be more frequently the free accounts. It's just that simple. If you click over on the leads tab here, these are individuals. I've made many lists of individuals here. There's some data cleanup here. I've got apparently 4 separate lists named Hawaii with 1 person in it. But what I do have are private jet brokers, people that attended my NFL kickoff event last year, members of the Dallas Country Club, people that work at Accruit, people that work at Asset Preservation. Those are 1031 exchange companies for those of you that may be unfamiliar. DFW Realtors, the Dallas Business Journal. You get where I'm going. People with a CCIM designation or an SIOR designation. I'll click on the CCIM. All these individuals have a CCIM designation, and I've got them in a readily communicatable list. I can add personal notes for myself on each of these contacts that only I can see. Then there's a quick way to message them. Here we go. You click on their name, you can message. Now, obviously, you don't want to spam these people. You don't want to spam anybody. But if you have, 20 people you want to send the same message to, LinkedIn does not allow this automation, which is actually what kind of keeps the platform cleaner from a spam perspective. But you can quickly go through, create a list. I need to send this particular opportunity or this particular message to everybody to these 20 CCIMs. Let's say that. Click on this guy named Nathan Roberts. I click message. It shows up. I paste it here, hit send, move on to Lonnie Veller, rinse and repeat that way. Since you can't automate it without violating LinkedIn's terms, and they're pretty good at detecting that, by the way, you do have a very, very powerful click-through rate and response rate. That's for Sales Navigator. And then the messaging tab, this is separate from your LinkedIn messages. So better or worse, you do have to manage both inboxes, just being honest. And that can become a task. So if you're not utilizing it to its full extent, you might be creating yourself busy work. With that being said, I know we're coming up on time. Look at what this AI tool did. Revamped my my LinkedIn banner image. It retained my logos, added a little white glove polish, if you will, some family office style branding, if you will. Now, what I can do is save this image, put it on my LinkedIn, and maybe move on to something else. Maybe I want to optimize my job description using the same voice, the same style. Just food for thought there. I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes. Just wanted to kind of make sure people knew about this functionality. It's not common sense, but it's not difficult either. These are simply things that you have to be shown or told. We got about 2.5 minutes left. Does anybody have any comments on not only what I kind of briefly went through here, but anything, maybe 1 or 2 degrees separation away from it? All right.
I have
Well,
a question
Robert, I know
for
you.
you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, if I'm starting up a new brokerage, I'm in pre-licensing right now. At what point do you think it's good to begin to launch the LinkedIn business and all that? I've been a long time on LinkedIn. I have a lot of connections there. So timing is everything, right? And I think I don't want to, announce too soon, although the business is legally formed. I don't want to, So what do you think is the sweet spot there?
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't worry too much about the too soon aspect. I understand where your head's at. I would go ahead and create it because you're throttled on the number of invites that you can send out per month. I'd get ahead of it. I wouldn't waste June's invites because you feel like July you're going to have more content. I would go ahead, if you go up here on your LinkedIn profile page on desktop, you can do it from mobile, by the way, too. But if you go up here to this For Business button and go down here to where it says create a company page, I'd click company. You could, you got your, Robert Brokerage. You can customize the LinkedIn URL. Sometimes it's not necessary. Put your website, your industry, obviously. Most of this is optional. If you just want to get a placeholder page, you can do that. I'd go ahead and click create that page. And then instead of me creating a dummy page, I'll just kind of go behind the scenes on my key real estate page here so you can see what that looks like. So this is what it looks like as the page owner, right? If you want to see what it looks like to you guys, you can toggle. This is what it would look like to you guys if you went to the page. Now, and then you can see the posts that the page is made. But now if I go back, how do I review it as? Let me just click. Oh, here we go. This top blue banner. You're reviewing this page as a member. Let me go back to the admin view. I would go ahead and create this page for you, Robert. And I would go ahead and invite, maybe not people you're looking to woo just yet, but your closest colleagues and peers, your other brokerage friends that support you or would be interested. That way you can have at least some form of foundational followers on your page for when you're ready to, in your mind, hit the ground running with content and really get off to the races. That way it'll appear more, at least slightly more solidified, if that makes sense to you, Robert.
It does. Thank you. Definitely.
And that's honestly kind of what I did with another entity, this BC World Partners. That's more of the family office targeting. I've only got 57 followers on there. I've only posted once. Just kind of like you, Robert, this is in its infancy, right? But I want to go ahead and get the ball rolling for when the content's ready, if that makes sense. All right, guys, I went over about a minute. Feel free to reach out to me directly. Eric should be hosting this next Monday. But if you want me to peel back the onion further on any social media, like particularly LinkedIn or X, feel free to reach out to me. I use all kinds of AI tools and automation too. Feel free to reach out to me with questions on that. Or if you want to, selfish plug, talk about 1031s or minerals, you know where to find me. So thank you, everyone, and feel free to reach out.